All right, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Top Five. Top five for people out there at home. Come on, man. We're not recreating the wheel. Y'all saw the movie several years ago with Chris Rock, man. What's your top five? So I talked to Charles Kirkland, who joins me here, that I wanted to create something that every week when new movies come out, there are huge actors that are in these movies, and we need to break down their top five, or at least give our opinion of our top five. Now, Charles, going into this, you realize that they're going to be people who are going to tear us apart on social media over some of these choices because it's my top five, right? If you got five other Will Smith movies, you can give us your five, but we're going to give us our top five. Charles, how you feeling, man? And how do you feel about us about to step into a big pile of top five poo?
Hey, look, they gonna come for you. They're not coming for me because I know I'm gonna be picking what's hot. Everybody's gonna love my list.
Well, it's funny. It's funny to say that. We were talking about there's certain actors who have such deep filmographies that you can never be right, man. Because despite the fact that you might pick five that you think are hot, there's gonna be some other stuff that people like that's just not gonna make the list. So, without all that being said, Charles Kirkland, it's time for top five. And I wish there was a way we could do this with music, man, without getting into YouTube jail. So we will just have to kind of ride or find some royalty-free music, man, that doesn't get us in trouble, man. So
top five.
I'm going to start with my top five, man, of Will Smith. Will Smith, by the way, we selected because his new movie, King Richard, drops in theaters this weekend. And there were some other people we could have picked, but Will Smith is a great way to kick off this segment. And Charles, this one was hard, man. Will has so many really good performances. So we're not doing the top five films of Will Smith, our top five favorite performances. And I'm going to start off, man, in 2001. Will Smith plays Muhammad Ali simply in the film called Ali. And to establish what we're doing, what are you talking about?
Are you going in any particular order, or you just listening?
I'm not going in order, man. That was the first one that was on my list. So on Ali, the reason why I love this performance by Smith so much is up until this point, Will had been playing. I mean, don't get mad at me. You can check his filmography. He had been playing variations of his Fresh Prince character. If you watched him in Independence Day, if you watched him in Wild Wild West, and some of these other roles that would come a little after, Will kind of played variations of that same character, but he couldn't bring the Fresh Prince to Muhammad Ali. And he literally studied, met with Muhammad Ali, got the diction down. I thought the screenplay, looking back on it, it's okay. It ain't great. But I thought Will's performance was top notch. He got nominated for an Academy Award that year. He got nominated for a Black Reel Award that year and lost them both because he had the misfortune of running into Denzel Washington, who did Training Day that year. And we all know how that worked out. But Will Smith, I thought, brought the ferocity in that performance. I thought he was really, really good. I for what they asked him to do. The pinnacle, as we talk about these performances, are like Jamie Foxx playing Ray, where, you have the combination of an actor and a role that kind of fits like a glove. I'm not going to say that Ali fits like a glove, but I thought it was one of Smith's strongest films. And that's why I started my top five off with Ali. Charles, what's your first choice going for your top five?
Well, I'm pandering, I guess, to the crowd when I say that my first pick because we're talking about performances, I gotta pick him as the Fresh Prince. I mean, when he's done all this discography of shows as the Fresh Prince and launched his movie career as the Fresh Prince, there's no denying that this is the best character that he's had, and we've seen it, like you said, multiple times in multiple variations in movies up until Ali. Or maybe as we get into another film, we'll talk about something that he did prior to Ali that was outside of that realm. But the Fresh Prince as a character, as a performance, is quintessential as Will Smith?
So for those at home, Charles didn't do the homework, right? Because clearly we said the top 5 film performances
No,
by
you
Will
didn't.
Smith.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You
Top
said
5.
performances.
Okay. We are the film Gordon, right? We are not the TV Gordon. We are not the small screen Gordon. So we include television every now and then, but our central focus, our film critics, as film critics, are films, not television critics doing television shows. But I knew you wanted to plug in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which unfortunately is going to make your last 4 hard, because now there's going to be obvious stuff you're going to leave out because you went with that choice as your opening.
Okay.
Yeah, you see how that works out?
But I have calculated for this, so I'm good with that.
All right. Well, I will go back to doing the homework. And in 2007, Will Smith played another real life person, Chris Gardner, in The Pursuit of Happiness. And again, another super strong performance by Will, where Will puts that persona that we talked about earlier away. He plays Chris Gardner. It is an emotional, heart-tugging story about a father who's homeless with his son, and in this case, played by his real-life son, Jaden Smith. Will Smith, again, was really, really strong in this. Again, got nominated for both an Oscar and a Black Reel Award. And again, ran into the hot actor. Instead of it being Denzel Washington, this time it was Forrest Whitaker. And despite that, Will Smith really demonstrated and showed a multitude of range in this story. It was not to be for him, but The Pursuit of Happiness is the second film on my top 5. Charles?
That's a great pick. I respect that pick as well, very much. But I'm going to go with a performance that he turned in 1993, which would actually define him as an actor, I think, showing, and this is the first time that he stepped out of the Fresh Prince role and actually showed that he has the ability to be an actor. And I'm talking about when he performed as Paul in 6 Degrees of Separation. So I believe that this was the role that he played where everyone said, wow, this guy is more than just the Fresh Prince, and that he played this role as Sidney Poitier's son, right? And then
he was supposed to be Sidney Poitier's son, yeah.
And so a great performance, and like I said, a great change from what he had done previously and who he was previously. Actually, a great film.
You know what? That's a really good choice, man. And I love the fact that so far in doing this, Will's filmography is so deep. We have not touched on the same films yet. So that's actually really, really good. Now, for my third pick, Charles, and I don't even call it pandering. I just, take what you said and I will kind of put it on steroids. The role that made Will Smith an international superstar would happen 3 years later in 1996, when he, along with Jeff Goldblum, starred in a Roland Emmerich story simply entitled Independence Day. I want to say, was it Roland Emmerich? Because I don't want people coming for me at home going, that Tim be tripping. But it was a huge, huge film for Will Smith. And you got to remember, man, I think he's still on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and he shot this movie on his hiatus. This movie did for him what 48 Hours did for Eddie Murphy and made him an uber star. So Independence Day is one of the films to me that defines who Will Smith is. Charles?
You are correct, sir. It was Roland Emmerich who directed that film. It was also written by Dean Devlin, who did all the Leverage shows. Remember those great Leverage television shows? Yeah. Yes, so that sir. Great pick there. But I'm going to go with a performance that came a little later in his life that solidified him. Now, I don't know if he was as much the sex symbol as he was back when he was doing Independence Day and maybe Men in Black. but he does a romantic comedy back in, let me see, what I can't remember the year now. But anyway, I'm talking about this romantic comedy he did with Eva Mendes and Paul James called Hitch. And I think this was the melding of the Fresh Prince character with this dramatic role that he had been trying to do, that he had accomplished several times prior. I think this was the perfect synthesis of those two roles. And I think this was a seminal performance for him in that he's kind of stepped out of his range. I mean, he'd been an actor, an action star in these movies before, but this was where he kind of turned and gave it his romantic side. So I like Hitch as one of his great performances.
All right, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'll take your Hitch, and I'll raise you Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Gabrielle Union. Well, actually, Gabrielle didn't come along. The
second one.
Tia Leone in Bad Boys. Now, why was Bad Boys selected by me as one of the 5 best performances by Will Smith? As I teased Charles earlier, Will Smith was a huge star on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Martin Lawrence was an equally huge star on Martin. The two of them coming together to play detectives and friends in this film was an automatic win for people who are fans of both those audiences. And then I think the other thing that they did, which was really interesting, is that they almost flipped archetypes in this, where Will Smith plays actually they didn't flip, because Will Smith became the ultra cool Mike Lowry. And, you had Martin Lawrence, who was more or less married to Teresa Randall. I mean, Bad Boys as a franchise was fantastic. The first one was great. You had Jerry Bruckheimer, Don Simpson back at the time. You got fast cars, 2 handsome, funny dudes, Miami. It was an intoxicating brew. I loved Will Smith in this, and the fact that they went and did 2 more of these, including recently, Bad Boys for Life. Hey, man, love this series, man. Charles?
Okay, because I'm
you're gonna do the homework next time, because Tim is coming like this.
I've been trying to intentionally not pick the same films as you, because for my top 5 performances, Ali is always going to be there,
right?
And so is The Pursuit of Happiness. But because you've already mentioned those, I'm going to mention this other film that he did. I think it was 2008.
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
Where he played a grieving lover who on the out of the sheer possibility finds new love with Rosario Dawson, and stays committed to this purpose that he's set out on as retribution for the pain that he's caused in his life. And I'm talking about, as I'm rambling on, I'm talking about the wonderful movie 7 Pounds. Some people will say that it was very monotone in Will Smith's performance, but I think there were a lot of nuances to the character he played in this film. Not just because he was sad, but he had to incorporate finding love and being sad at the same time. So I thought it was an excellent performance by him.
That's interesting, because you picked one of the movies that I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to do a pivot, because Will Smith has a deep dive, a deep filmography. Because, I wanted to talk about Hitch, but you stole Hitch from me. So I will go to another one of his films. And I thought, this is tough, because there are 2 performances that I really love from Will Smith, and they're very polar opposites of each other, right? And as I play it out in my head, I'm going to go with my second choice. And my second choice is also from 2008. And of course, that film is Hancock. Now, Hancock, to me, was always very interesting, because in 2007, if I'm correct, Superman Returns came out. The Dark Knight or the Batman Begins came out in 2005, We were a decade away from Blade. So the superhero genre was still, people were still messing with it. Nobody sort of kind of understood how large it would get. And in the world of DC and Marvel, these two are fighting it out. You got Iron Man that's out in 2008. You've got the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk that's out in 2008 with Ed Norton. And along comes this kind of totally fresh take called Hancock, where Will Smith plays a boozy superhero who has lived, as we know, for thousands of years. And, he hooks up with Jason Bateman, who is a marketing exec, and his wife. And there's this wonderful twist that you figure out that Will and Charlize Theron have been kind of coupled together for centuries, and they have to separate because when they're together, they're both vulnerable. I thought, to me, it is one of the most biggest missed opportunities in Hollywood history, because as the superhero genre took off, I'm like, Will, you don't need to be in a universe. You got a universe of your own. You can make Hancock movies, and Will just never found the time to do it. And to me, I love the work because it caught me so off guard, because I was like, well, what is Will doing? And then when you watch the film, you go, I mean, again, let's understand, Hancock has flaws, right? But what I like was that Will Smith, and throughout his career, if you're paying attention to what we're talking about right now, Will has taken all sorts of risks, whether he's Paul in 6 Degrees of Separation, whether he's a boozy superhero, whether he's telling you in Concussion, tell the truth. Tell the truth. Right. I mean, whatever Will is doing, Will is taking shots. So that would be my final pick. I would put Hancock in there, since you took Hitch from me, because I really loved him as Alex Hitchens. And for all the reasons you said, the fact that role sort of fit him, it was light and breezy, but it was also Will appearing to be a little more grown up than what we witnessed in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as he was evolving. And I thought it was a really good piece for him, man. So kudos to that. And Charles, drum roll, please. Your final choice in our top 5 for Will Smith.
Well, see, I'm hating on you because you went and took Hancock when you said you weren't going to take Hancock. So now I'm going.
Hey, I was doing a pivot, man. You had me pivot from Hitch. I had to grab another H movie.
Oh man. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say, I think one of his. I hate to say it because it's, not a performance. And you mentioned how he likes to take risks and how he likes to do things differently. There's been just one time that Will has done an animated movie. And I think the movie, it was a very good performance by him, but it was still The Fresh Prince, but it was under the sea and it was kind of interesting. And I really myself, now I don't know about anybody else, I really liked Shark Tale. Him playing Oscar in Shark Tale, I thought was a fabulous role for him. Again, this was more like The Fresh Prince than we had seen before, but he's doing this as an animated voice, which gave him another opportunity to stretch out who he was, not to be on screen and show his face, but to give just his voice in a performance. And I thought that was very good by him, and I enjoyed it. So there you go.
I enjoy Shark Tale too. See, this is a part of what we're doing with Top 5, right? It's giving people an opportunity to listen to us kind of go through Will's filmography. And Will's filmography, as you can tell, is pretty extensive, right? So, he has hit on a lot of films. We didn't get a chance to talk about him in Focus. We didn't get a chance to talk about him in Men in Black. We didn't get a chance to talk about him in Aladdin. I mean, Will has had some really good performances in some of these films. And somebody at home might be like, yeah, there's a reason you didn't talk about those movies, because they weren't good. So, or those performances, but it is what it is, man. We live in each his own society. So let me recap my list of what
I have a friend that'd be upset that I didn't talk about Wild Wild West.
Well, and that you have to question why you even have a friend who would talk to you about Wild Wild West, but that's another story. So my 5 films that I picked, of course, were Ali, The Pursuit of Happiness, Independence Day, Bad Boys, and Hancock. And Charles, what were the 5 that you picked?
I had 6 Degrees, 7 Pounds. Wow, Hitch. I'm losing my mind here.
Charles is not doing the homework, man. This is you got this stuff written down. You had 6 degrees of separation. What was the second one?
7
I'm sorry, you had
Pounds.
the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Right.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, 6 degrees of separation. What was the third film?
7 Pounds.
7 Pounds. You went
Hitch.
to Hitch
And Shark Tale.
Shark Tale. All right. So I want to thank you guys. Yeah, man, I'm not paying Charles any attention. I want to thank you guys for checking out this episode of Top 5. We'll be back next week with more debates about this. Of course, King Richard is in theaters this weekend, which is the reason why we're doing this in the first place. That is a performance that if a year from now, Will has a new movie, King Richard will be on the list, man. So you guys take care. And as we tell you every week, please see something good at the movies. We're giving you 10 Will Smith performances. You be the judge. You check it out. And we'll see you guys on the other side. You guys take care. Take care, Charles.
See ya.